So because like everything in the pickup artist culture and just in the zeitgeist previously is a false dichotomy of alpha and beta. You know, Jesse Lee Peterson does that. Person I love and respect a lot. Alpha or beta? Are you a man or are you not? Kind of. I don't like using that phrase beta because people get misconstrued with that. Alpha is pretty much understood, but Bravo is kind of the substitute word, that right hand man, and that is personally me. I am a natural Bravo, or what he's calling a beta in the hierarchy. My comfort zone is being the right hand man to the alpha, the lieutenant in the ranks, and not the general, you know, or the general and not the commander in chief, the hand of the king and not the king himself. I have a lot of alpha qualities. I am loyal to a fault. I'm eager to help competent men carry out their missions and their visions. I am good at strategy and planning, and not good at leading the charge. I have alpha qualities, but I'm not actually an alpha. And yeah, I'm good at leading the charge, kind of carrying out commands, good at helping an alpha with his strategy and with his planning for his vision and his pursuits. And I am good at making sure that the necessary hard work or even the dirty and uncomfortable tasks are done to make sure the job gets done. The job and the plan of the alpha gets done. I am naturally a helper, an assistant captain, you know, a sidekick, whatever you want to call it, a beta, a bravo, someone who's capable and willing to lead, but prefers not to. I'm, like he said, I'm conflict avoidant, but I'm also not afraid of the fight if it is necessary. I will join the fight if it's necessary. If a trustworthy alpha is calling me to join his noble cause and it involves conflict, I am not resistant or oppositional towards it. I just naturally do not seek out the conflict and the fight like alphas do to kind of position themselves. But that being said, in our society today and in my generation, our generation, I tend to find myself in groupings of men without any true alphas. I mean, that's kind of the story of my life is where are the alphas for me to follow and help? There are plenty of gammas, which we'll get to here. Plenty of gammas around. You know, those emotionally unstable little males that want to be in charge and call the shots. But a severe lack of alphas these days. Especially back in California where I spent 8 years of my adult life. You know, back there's a severe drought, a major shortage of morality and work ethic and logic, and no shortage at all of weak males who want to be an alpha, want to be in charge of their environments and their settings, their groupings of people, without actually doing the hard work and taking the risks that are necessary to do so. Those who want the status and power of the alpha, but don't actually do what's necessary to be one. There's plenty of those, you know, in California and most cities these days, most urban environments. So just in my life, me in my personal life, I've often found myself in groups of men without a true alpha. And I usually find that I have to step up into that role to make sure that the group survives, thrives, and accomplishes their objectives. Like as the group, like he's saying, it's fractal, you know, it's situational. Like, you know, there's times where I've been on sports teams where there's a couple alphas or there's an alpha and it's like, great. I love it. Those are my favorite. I'm like, man, I miss those days of that being on that team. And then there's other sports teams I was on where everyone was just incompetent and fighting with each other and emotional. And I kind of had to step up and be the alpha and take on those risks and challenges and like fighting combative situations that I'm not naturally suited for or don't enjoy. You know, but most of the time that's kind of what I found living in California, in Illinois, and in city environments because our society is lacking true alphas in those environments. And yeah, I am what Vox calls, not in these videos, but what he considers a reluctant alpha or a situational alpha or a bravo. A natural sidekick who has the ability to step up to a temporary alpha position if that role is lacking, but who is eager to step aside and hand over the reins when a real leader emerges. And me in my life and my job, my new job right now, is a perfect example of this. My boss is a former Marine drill sergeant, a major in the Marines. Um, pretty high rank. He's served multiple times in multiple places. I'm pretty sure he was in Fallujah in Iraq. Like Saul's, probably one of the craziest, deadliest conflicts of war in the last like 30, 40 years. Um, Pretty intense man, pretty demanding, pretty it can get pretty intense on the job sites, doing construction work, building walls on construction sites and at homes. We build retaining walls, so it's a lot of physically demanding work. But yeah, needless to say, he is a true alpha. I mean, I can go all day talking about this man. He's a husband, he's a father, an Orthodox Christian who is devoted to the faith and does all that is required by his church, like fasting, service, and regular attendance to his church. He also started his own construction business, built his own shop, and is building his own house on his property. He's a man's man and a true alpha. He grows food, he protects his family, he does everything that's right, and I love it. I love being like inserted into the right-hand man position. I love being like there to give him advice, give him tips, kind of keep him in check, keep him level-headed at times, but never questioning his authority, never seeking to like overrule him or override him, just fitting into that perfect slot of being his, there for advice, and just also there to just shut up and carry out his orders. Yes, boss, what do you need? What do you need me to do? And on the job site, I'm always just looking for what's the next step ahead? How can I make this go smoother? He's doing this. What can I do to help him do that? I just love that. That's my natural role, is like, yes, I don't have to be the alpha. There's someone here who's capable and competent enough to do it. And I just fit naturally into that right-hand man slot. Carrying out his demands and helping him accomplish his missions. It's been amazing working in an environment like that. He can be pretty intense, pretty demanding, and very challenging. The work is tough. We do it outside in the elements, in the cold, in the heat, in the rain, in the mud, long hours. We work like 11, 12 hours sometimes. We move heavy blocks, like 75, 80-pound blocks. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about hundreds a day. We're shoveling dirt, mud, raking gravel. We use, giant machines, giant skid steers, mini excavators, and, we're kind of doing that all day, moving earth around, putting stuff into place. We have to be precise with our measurements and our placements of heavy objects. It's a pretty intense job. Again, we work like 10, 12-hour shifts, 4 or 5 days a week, and he is right there leading the charge with us all, doing the same work that the rest of us does. He's not in a car shouting out orders. He's right there carrying the heavy blocks with us, right there in the mud, raking it, shoveling it with us. And even in his late 40s, he's either keeping up with or outworking all of us that are there in our 20s and 30s. And I love it. I love it. It's like a true alpha. I love it. It feels so natural to me to be helping out an alpha carry out his objectives, to fight the battles of the day with a real man's man. A truly righteous man, a competent man, and a boss and leader that is right there with us in the pits, doing the dirty work himself. There is not a chance in hell, not a chance in heck that I would seek to undermine him, complain about his decisions or his judgment, even if I don't agree with him internally. I'm not complaining about it. I'm going along with what he says. I'm never going to try to one-up him or abandon him for an easier job or some kind of promotion elsewhere. Because it's just rare to find myself in a situation like this, in a group of males where there's a true alpha in charge who, demands a lot out of us to accomplish great things. And regardless of how physically demanding the job is, how uncomfortable it may be, how much I want to complain, I, just find myself perfectly at peace during all the struggle, being a willing and competent bravo to a true alpha. But yeah, Fox just explains it all so well in these clips, and we have one more to go here. But if the group of males you are in lacks an alpha, or even someone like me who is competent enough as a bravo to step up when needed, it will never work out, and it is destined to be overcome by gammas. Rule by gammas, which is just a sinking ship. It might appear to be floating, but it's a sinking ship. The group will soon be taken over by outside forces, invaded or conquered, or just rotted away from the inside out by emotions and feelings, not led into right living with logic and reason. Deltas, we're not really going to get into it. I also had an article. I think I'm going to go way over time today, so I'm not going to get into it. But deltas are awesome. Deltas are great to work with and great to be around. They're my kind of people for sure. And I have so much respect and appreciation for their dedication to accomplishing the goal without seeking any sort of personal reward or recognition or high ranking, high status. But, you know, even a group made up of entirely deltas is destined to fail as well, as it would just lack a true leadership. It would lack ambition and vision and risk taking. There would be no elevation, no higher purpose seeking. Just constant maintenance and a state of perpetual stagnation. So I love deltas. Those are my people. Just the salt of the earth, you know, just skilled laborers, you know, just I want to show up, clock in, do what I need to do the job, get it done, clock out, go home and see my family. Like, those are the best people to be around. Those are the best people in the community. But if you just have nothing but those people in a group, there's nothing that's going to elevate the group higher. You know, everyone will just stay stagnant, just stay exactly where they are as outside forces rise up and, you know, seek to overcome and seek to conquer. Yeah. So, yeah. I love deltas. Deltas is my favorite to be around. And alphas are who I naturally like to work with and be, you know, seeking out goals and seeking out accomplishments with alongside, because I can just fit right in, right in underneath them, helping them, you know, not being the alpha that has to lead the charge himself. That's not my natural state. I'm not naturally an alpha, as Vox says. Again, I have some of the qualities just throughout my life because I've had to, because I've been in groups of men that have been incompetent, have been emotional, have been irrational, and, you know, just exactly what the gammas embody, which is what we're about to get into. I've just been in groups that are just full of gammas, so I've had to take on alpha roles, and I've you know, acquired a lot of that alpha mentality and alpha, you know, skills. But that's not naturally who I am or what I am or what I want to be even. But yeah, and we're getting into the gammas. And if you are a gamma, if you're watching this next clip and you're like, man, this is me. You're like, man, I'm not going to say it out loud, but this is me. If you are a gamma, you must seek to overcome your failures, your character flaws, your habits, and your situations to rise up and become a competent delta or even a skilled and useful bravo one day. You can rise up and out of it. I feel like I was a gamma throughout my early life, throughout my, you know, middle school, high school years, and then even into my college years. I was very gamma in a lot of ways. And then I just kind of, out of necessity, grew out of that because I was around so many other gammas that in those groups, those settings, I kind of had to rise up and be more of an alpha-ish. But truly, I mean, I was starting to build up those alpha qualities while still kind of hanging on to my past life of being very gamma. But truly, when I returned to God, I overcame it all and just left all of that emotion, all that irrationality behind. All the pathos, the emotional stuff, the feminine qualities behind, and returned to God and his right ways. And he showed me how to be a righteous, good man. And now I'm naturally just where I am, which is a natural bravo or beta in Vox's hierarchy. And you can too. You can too, with righteous living. And after this video, we'll talk a little bit more about gammas, and then I'll give some advice. If you find yourself being a gamma or just an omega, like someone who's just not a good person, not being a good person, and your life is just chaos and it's all emotional and all over the map, and you're not really having success with, he's talking about more of like women, having success with women or finding mates, or having success financially or having success personally, and you're always feeling empty and alone and emotionally unstable and addicted to substances in an attempt to like make yourself happy temporarily. If you're stuck in that state, there is hope. There is a chance to rise up out of it, because what was lost can be found. What has been lost can be reclaimed. It's just going to take some hard work. It's going to take first acknowledging and admitting you are what you are and who you are and what you have done, and by repenting for that and overcoming it, seeking God and seeking his right ways and his guidance, and rising up and elevating to be a righteously masculine man